Coming to you live from Massachusetts. This is Ryan slash KidA. Today I'm going to be doing a cast analysis for my third season, Survivor Norway. I'm probably going to rip off Logan Worm and put some dull Survivor music in the background of this to spice it up a little bit. Also, I'm doing this from my shitty iPhone because my computer is broken and it's at the Apple store right now. So, I apologize in advance for how shitty this is. Okay. The first tribe is Brevik or something. I don't know how to pronounce my own tribe names because I'm not fucking Norwegian, so I apologize for that. The first person we have is Alex Crooks / Owen Gohan or something. I don't know how to pronounce the usernames either because I'm not that person. So, Alex first played in my third season, Survivor Wild West, and he got third place. He was voted out by Sean, who's also on this tribe. And then he also played in Survivor Barbados, and he got like 9th place or something. I think he was the first juror. Alex has always been like a decent player. He's not like the greatest that I've seen, but he's good. And I don't think he's going to be out early on this tribe because he doesn't have a lot of enemies or rivals, and his reputation is not as big as some of the other people. So that's my prediction for Alex. Then we have Andrew Harrison / Manipulation. He played first in Survivor Kenya, which was my 9th season in Gen 1, and then he played in Survivor Moldova. And his placements were both like mid-merge-ish. Well, I think he got 4th in Kenya actually, but it was like mid-merge for Moldova. Andrew is kind of similar to Alex in that he doesn't have a lot of connections with people on this tribe, which probably means he won't be out early, but other than that, I think he's going to play a fairly reserved game. I don't see him being like too huge of a player early on, and I can see him probably making the merge again, or at least getting close. Next up is Dakota Miller / Dak236, and this is actually Dakota's 4th time playing in my series, which is kind of ridiculous given how I've had like 13 seasons. But I think this is going to be the most challenging season for Dakota that I have done yet, because Dakota was a part of like this legendary alliance, which is called the Exile Alliance. It was in Survivor Tuvalu, which was Dakota's first season. It consisted of Dakota, Porsche, who was also on this tribe, Sean / Ghoul, who played last season, and Bryce / Bryce333, who I tried to get on this season, but he was not available. But anyways, the Exile Alliance has such a huge reputation that I think Dakota is going to have a hard time given that Porsche is also on the tribe. Like, if you go to my ask.fm, like, I will give you a fucking award if you can go 10 questions without seeing the Exile Alliance mentioned. So Dakota has a big target right off the bat, but Dakota is so strong in challenges that I don't think they should get rid of her early, just because she's a huge asset, but they probably will. I think she will go pre-merge this time, which will suck, but probably going to happen. Next is Ethan Allow. I don't know how the fuck to pronounce his last name. I don't know like what ethnicity he is. Maybe he comes from Norway because it just looks like a bunch of random letters that I can't pronounce. But anyways, this is Ethan / the winner, and he was actually the sole survivor in my very first season. And then he also played in All-Stars and got 2nd. So obviously his track record is really good. And it's because Ethan is sort of not under the radar, but like middle of the road. He's not like a huge player, but he's still respectable so that if he gets to the end, he can get jury votes. But he's not like someone who has to be taken out before Final Tribal Council because he's not like an obvious winner threat. I think Ethan should do well on this tribe. He doesn't have enemies from All-Stars like a lot of these other people do. He never had like rivals or anything, so I think people are going to want to have him in their alliance. Next we have Jake Benjamin / the BenJ14. He started in Survivor Wild West and got like 6th place, I think. I don't really remember. And then he got 4th place in Survivor All-Stars. So he also has a pretty good record. But I don't think Jake is going to win because he's kind of like a dumb jock, and he is not really respectable in that he can't like string together very coherent sentences. He's not stupid. Well, maybe he's a little stupid, but he just doesn't have the eloquence to really put together a final tribal argument. Also, he does have enemies on this tribe. He is rivals with Sean, and then he also has a history with Porsche, which I'll get to in a second. So I think Jake is going to struggle in this season, but if he can put aside his differences with at least Sean, he might have a shot. Next we have Porsche Lestrange / Porsche Fan 101, who is a fucking legend. So Porsche started in Survivor 2 Blue, where Sean / Ghoul brought her as his loved one, and she was amazing. She played 2 idols on herself and had 1 idol played on her, which negated a total of 15 votes, which is probably why everyone thought that season was rigged as shit. And then Porsche returned for Survivor All-Stars, where she actually got idoled out herself, which was a healthy dose of karma. But while she was in All-Stars, she posted a video, which I will link, in which she made fun of Jake's house burning down, because that actually happened in real life. And it was evil, but it was fucking hilarious, and people were outraged, but then everyone was like laughing at the same time because it was undeniably funny, but terrible. So Porsche and Jake obviously have a history, and I think it's so funny that they're going to be on the same tribe again. I hope Porsche trolls the shit out of him. But as for Porsche's chances of doing well, I don't think she has great chances. Probably because of all the enemies she's made and the reputation she has as a huge villain, and because Dakota is also on the tribe and they're going to be targeted as the Exile Alliance. Okay, I just realized I skipped like a bunch of people, so I'm going to go back. First we have JB Brewer / JB, who played first in Survivor Kenya, and that was actually his only season. So he's the only person on this tribe who's only played my series once, and he got 3rd place. He was basically a shoo-in to win until he lost that final immunity challenge, and then he was out. So JB is one of my favorites on this season. He is a really strong player, and I think he has an advantage because he was not on All-Stars, and he doesn't have enemies on this tribe. People don't know his reputation, really. They just know that he's a strong player outside of my series. And I think he does have a reputation as a hero, as someone who's loyal, and people are going to be seeking that out for an Alliance member. So I think he's going to have no problem pre-merge. I think he will make the merge. But I don't know if he will be able to get to the final Tribal Council because he plays a strong social game almost every time. And if people realize that, they might cut him before it's too late. So I could see him getting maybe 5th, 4th, that range. But I do like his chances on this season, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does win, making his way into Final Tribal. Then we have Gerard Moore / Sunslicer 2, who first played in Survivor India and got like 7th, 6th place, and then returned for Survivor All-Stars and went out pre-merge. Gerard isn't like a huge star from my series, but he did fit the theme of being, prevalent in Gen 1. So I invited him back, and I'm excited that he's here. He never was made huge moves in my series, and I want him to kind of break out of that under the radar player kind of deal. I don't know if he will, but I'm excited to see if he can. Other than that, I don't really know how to predict his placement. He's not a big target off the bat because his reputation isn't great, but we'll see how he fares. Next we have Jacob Fox / Survivor 233, who first played in Survivor India and won the season, and it was honestly one of the best games I've seen played, and it was sort of a different Jacob than I know now. The Jacob that played in India was very reserved, not a gamebot necessarily, but very heroic, not too much personality to him, and he just played a very calculated game, and the timing for his game was perfect. One of the biggest moves that he did in India was blindsiding his duo, Gerard, around the final 7. And it was shocking because they had basically played the game hand in hand. for the entire time, and then Jacob took him out because he knew that Gerard had a shot at winning. Right now, I think Gerard and Jacob have a fine relationship, but I don't know if Gerard might want to one-up him. I think that'll be an interesting dynamic to watch play out. Jacob also played in All-Stars where he got blindsided right before the merge, which was surprising because he was playing a similar game to India. But now, the Jacob I know is very funny, has a lot of personality to him, and I don't know if that'll work against him or for him. Either way, I do like his chances in this because he went out early in All-Stars, so he doesn't have a lot of enemies from that season, and he's generally liked on this tribe, I think. He might have some problems with Sean, but I'm interested to see how that plays out. Other than that, I don't think Jacob's going to have a problem. I think he should make it to the merge, although he might get screwed over somehow because he has fairly bad luck in group games recently. But other than that, I'm interested to see how he does. Alright, moving on to the next tribe, we have the Myson tribe. I guess that's how I'm going to pronounce it. Hopefully I'm going to go a little bit faster on this one because they have largely not played in my series, so I don't have that much to say. But first we have Brady Spalding / Brady Spalding 16, and I watched him play in the Winners Survivor. And he was a fucking nutcase. He was very eager to blindside people, but he was playing with a bunch of noobs, so it was easy for him to kind of manipulate them and pull off these big moves. But his social game was still such utter shit that he lost. And I can see him flopping in the season, but being very entertaining for about 4 episodes, because he's going to think that he can, pull strings on some of these huge players. He thinks he's going to be able to get Shoddy and Reese to do whatever he wants. And I think it's going to be hilarious when he gets a reality check that, this is the big leagues. You can't just do whatever you want, Then we have Chris Oskoy, I don't know, Blue U22. And I'm so excited to have Chris on this season. He contacted me before the season started and said that he wanted to play. So I'm really confident that he's going to be interested and dedicated to the game. I think he has one of those personalities that you can just see that person winning. He kind of reminds me of Patrick from Marianas, and I think he does have a shot to win because I think he's smart. I think he's likable just right off the bat, and I like his chances for this season. Then we have Darcy Oregamo. I kind of just see his last name as Oregano, but whatever. Boots 22. I think so. Darcy played in Kenya and went pre-merge and was fairly irrelevant, which is why he's not on the other tribe, obviously. But I think he's probably going to play an under-the-radar game. I don't think he's going to send a lot of confessionals. I don't think he's going to be overly invested in the game, which is fine. I think he'll probably end up being a pawn to someone else. And if that makes him last a while, then more power to him. I don't know how to predict his placement, really. He could go into the merge just as a number, or he could get taken out early for being, weak on the tribe. Then we have Felix Charles / Charlie BB or something. Felix he recently had his claim to fame in Suitmans, where he made Final Tribal Council twice and lost twice because he's kind of psychotic, and I would hate to play with him, but I love having him on the season because he's casting gold. I think he's probably going to play really aggressively. I don't know if he's going to last on this tribe because I know people are starting to catch on that he is crazy. But, I'm excited to have him, and I think his ideal placing would be right before the merge, maybe around 14th or so, but we'll see. Then we have Julian Sunasar something, the sexiest dude 990. He's one of those players that could go either way. It's a 50-50 shot that he will be active and dedicated to the game, and he'll be, a good player, because I've seen him be a good player in other series. But then at the same time, if he doesn't get interested, or if he finds himself on the outs early and he just loses motivation, he could be a complete flop. So obviously I'm hoping for the first option, but we'll see how that turns out. Next we have Michaela Lemon / Manalord. I don't know why Manalord did not decide to just go by Nick this season, but whatever. We're referring to him as Michaela, which is probably going to piss me off for most of the season. Michaela played in Moldova and was blindsided right before the merge, but he was a powerful player. He was, very visible in the season. He was active. Michaela can't actually make the challenges this season, and I contacted Manalord and I was like, are you sure you want to play if you can't even make the challenges? And he was like, yeah, I'll be active, just put me on the season. So I decided to trust him, and I figured he'd probably still be more entertaining than a lot of the flop applicants who wanted to play. So I don't know how not being able to show up to challenges is going to affect him. I think his tribe will probably be such a clusterfuck because there are so many crazy personalities that he should be able to just slide through if he doesn't, cause too much of a scene early on. I don't think he can win, really. I don't think you can win if you can't make it to challenges ever. That's just my personal philosophy. But we'll see how he does. I'm interested to see how that plays out. Next we have Ollie Grubb / Mr. Pokeguy 9, who was going to play in Sudan but couldn't make the challenge times. So I'm glad we have Ollie for this season, and I think Ollie is going to contribute a lot more to this season because the Myson tribe has so many crazy people, and I've seen Ollie be a complete nutcase, which is amazing. Ollie sends great confessionals. Ollie is fun to watch, strong in challenges, and a good strategist. Her chances at winning are slim, but not completely non-existent. She could do it if she doesn't get too pissed off by all the other people in this season. I don't think she will, but, the possibility is there. Then we have Reese Romanov / and then there was one. I've talked to Reese a lot lately, and Reese is a very, very, very strong player. He's got the strategic game down. His social game is really good, and I don't really know how his physical game is, but I think he told me he does have a lot of enemies on this tribe, but honestly I don't think it's going to be a problem for him because I think some people are just going to dig holes for themselves so early on this tribe that all he has to do is kind of play dead, and then until he gets to a swap or the merge, and he'll be fine. I'd probably say he has the best shot of winning on this tribe, but I guess we will see. Next we have Shadi / Chastain, who I'm so excited to have on this season. Shadi has wanted to play for a while, and I just haven't been able to get him on. But, now that he's here, I think he's going to make a big impression. He could win. I think, when he first started on this site, he was really strong, and he won a ton of games, and now he's kind of puttered out to where he lost 2 final tribal councils and Suitmans, and he just hasn't been getting those wins like he used to. So I wouldn't be surprised if Shadi's motivated this season and really wants to get back in the ring, win another season, and play like he used to. But then again, he could also, continue this trend of playing a strong game but garnering a lot of hatred towards him at the final tribal council, because I do know he is a big character, and he likes to backstab people, but if he's backstabbed himself, he is pissed off, which is kind of hypocritical, and people don't like that. So we'll see how that goes. Last on this tribe is Tim Richardson / Tarose or something. Tim is, from what I hear, he's a good strategist. He doesn't strike me as a big character or someone who's going to send these hilarious confessionals. He's probably a little bit of a game bot, fairly quiet, not the strongest physical game, just a good strategist. And I don't know, I think that's going to be an interesting contrast to the people on this tribe, because there are so many people who are pretty much the exact opposite of him. I think he should do well just because he's not going to be a big target. And then he can kind of navigate around these big personalities just by being a little bit quieter and thinking a little bit more than some of these other people. And that's mainly why I cast him, is because he's going to be a great contrast to everyone else on his tribe. And that is everyone. That concludes my cast analysis, or whatever you want to call it, for Survivor Norway. You know, this is the first 20-person season I've done since Survivor Greece. You know, All Stars had 18 people, so I haven't done a season this big in a long time. And I think the cast that I have is really, really strong. I think we have a good mix of players. I think the dynamics, especially on Breivik, are going to be interesting to watch and are going to make for something that's really unpredictable, which will be refreshing after the fucking snooze fest that was Sudan. I hope you all enjoyed this podcast. I'm sorry for how much I rambled. And I also went back and listened to the first 30 seconds where I tried to impersonate Rob Cesternino, and that was so fucking cringeworthy that I just apologize for that entirely. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later.